Hey guys, my name's Jake, and today we are going to be fighting Artblock with... I've been using these Pictionary cards for the past 2 years now to break through Artblock whenever I don't know what to draw. Which, frankly, has been a lot. Quick side note, if you don't know, Pictionary is a drawing game where people pick a card and then try to draw a word for their teammates to guess. There's a board and dice and, yeah, typically some friends to play with, but most importantly, there are cards. Initially I kept things pretty easy and just used one word from each card, and it led to some pretty cool results. But after doing this 50 times, I've decided that 2 words is just too easy. No, we're gonna make it a challenge and do all 5 words from a single card and try to make a piece that is bigger and better than anything that I've done before. So we're gonna pull a random card here and boom, just like that, we've got our words. Underground, suspenders, muffle, lumberjack, and blind. Awesome. Let's break out the sketchbook and see if we can figure this thing out.
Lumberjack and suspenders should be pretty easy. I mean, I've got one right there. Boom, perfect. But what do I want to do? Actually, make this look like a thing. Cave, we could kind of go for like an underground vibe. Yeah, definitely go like some stalactites, stalagmites, all that good stuff. If we go cave, I do like the idea of maybe doing some bats. Suspended, da-da-da, you get it. That also works for blind, which I do like. Muffle is the weird one. What does muffle mean? Muffle is to wrap, cover for warmth, make it sound quieter, less escaped, yeah. So some sort of wrap. So something's wrapped up. I don't know why I'm picturing a scarf. Is he blind too? Can't see. Just knows where the wood is. Get you a big burly lumberjack. I don't know how to hold an axe apparently. Yeah, so you would go, underhand would be up. So yeah, so this would be the underhand. And this would be actually coming down. Big beefy boy. But yeah, I mean that's just that. I don't know. We gotta go axe. I think axe is more fun than the chainsaw. So, what else is underground? I mean, I could just do a bunch of like underground little creepy crawlies and some worms and such. What else is underground? Moles. Oh, moles is a good one. They're blind. Oh my gosh, yeah, that works perfectly. Yeah, moles, mole. I don't know what moles look like. They got these like weird little claws, right? And like little feet. I honestly don't know. They're like slightly hairy. Mole. All right, we have something with some animals there. What is our lumberjack doing underground? Why is he underground? What does an underground tree look like? That's the real question. Or maybe his work is done. Maybe it's like this field of like broken stalactites. That could be funny. Like he's just chopped them all and then he's like sitting on a stump. I don't know. I gotta play with it. We'll see what happens.
So it's the next day and I've had a major revelation overnight. Underground plus lumberjack equals dwarf. I think we have something here. This is huge. With that new brilliant plan in place, we're going to do a quick sketch to lay everything out and then start inking. Now, I am both a very thorough sketcher, which means that just about every line that I need to draw is now somewhere on this page, and a very messy sketcher, which means there are a lot of extra scribbles on there too. So yeah, this part is mostly just tracing, but you know, only the good lines. So as I mentioned, I've been doing this a while now, and while it's a great tool for breaking through Artblock, it is essentially just drawing practice. And whenever you're practicing, I think it's really important to focus on some particular element to improve. Now that can change from piece to piece. Sometimes it's the confidence in line work or hatching techniques, or even just the overall shape language and character design. All of which I feel have really improved since I've started doing this exercise. But the main reason that I wanted to switch it up from doing 2 words to using all 5 in a single card is just to really focus on composition. The old way led to a lot of sticker type designs, just a single character on a white background, and sure, looks good, but sometimes it just felt like it was missing something. So I'm challenging myself to combine all these elements in more interesting layouts. I don't even really want them all to be scenes. I mean, sure, this one kind of had to be to sell that underground part, but I like the idea of forcing myself to balance some competing subject matter. Like, I want to be comfortable with having a bunch of random stuff in there. It doesn't have to all make sense thematically, it just has to look good aesthetically, you know? But that's enough about the why of this whole project. Let's erase all those unused pencil lines and get on to the fun part. Now, we've got a lot of surface to cover here, which means the name of the game is texture. The style that I've kind of settled into for my hatching is pretty clean and simple, so finding good ways to distinguish elements from each other and create different textures and feels is really important. And I have a few techniques that I like to use beyond just playing with spacing to keep things from looking too flat. A big one of these is orientation. Now, most of the time you want to follow the form of an object, but when you have a big swath of flat area to fill, like with this soil at the top of the page, changing up the direction of lines to add some visual interest can work really well. So I'm doing these little clusters that change direction super erratically every couple lines or so. This breaks things up with a little bit of a pattern and kind of gives the impression of a bumpy, irregular surface. I also like to tweak this technique a bit and use it for fur or even beards. Just keep the rotations a little less dramatic and you can end up with kind of a short, scruffy look. The other thing you can do is play with shape and line length a bit. For all the stalactites and stalagmites in this thing, I wanted to make sure that they had that drippy, layered sediment look. Some subtle curves and just tapering the line length a bit gets the look across pretty well. Simple, yes, but effective. People ask me a lot for tips on how I do my hatching, and really I think the most important thing is just to make sure you have a really solid understanding of the underlying form that you're trying to illustrate. You want to pay attention to those contours and follow them with your line work to really sell the illusions that these things have volume. From there, you can always experiment with different ways on how to accomplish this, but it all starts with really understanding that underlying shape. This can be especially important with this kind of less is more approach that I take to my hatching. I'm not putting down a ton of lines, so I really need to make sure that the ones I do choose to draw are the right ones. And the only way to get good at that is, well, by doing a lot of it. Since there was so much to cover on this guy, I pretty much just did a single pass over the whole thing to keep everything pretty consistent. But that means at this stage, it's lacking a little bit of depth. So I'm gonna go back through and add a little bit of cross-hatching in select spots to really bump up the contrast here. This mostly just helps to refine the forms a bit and to separate items from one another. There are so many overlapping objects in this piece that you really need to deepen the shadows in certain spots to keep everything legible and bring it all to life. And we can't forget that this piece is supposed to be underground after all, so I'm gonna go in and throw in some solid black while we're at it to really sell the whole cave look. Now, sure, you could call this thing done here, but I like to go in and add a little bit of a finishing touch to all my ink pieces. I'm gonna go through with the 05 Micron, which is the thickest pen that I use in these illustrations, and bump up the line weight on all of my borders and overlapping elements just to make sure everything feels separate and neat and clean. This helps to sharpen up all the edges, as well as add a bit more variation and visual interest to the whole piece. I can kind of choose whether I want to trace right on top or just to the side of existing lines to indicate deeper shadows or even nudge the shapes just a bit. I can also vary the pressure to control just how much I want something to feel emphasized or blend in a bit more. It is a simple yet surprisingly delicate process that I think really elevates the whole piece. And now I can finally cap these pens and call this thing done. Let's check out the final shots. That'll do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed my game and the artwork that it led to. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you end up trying this out for yourself, be sure to tag me on social media. I would absolutely love to see what you guys create. I play this game pretty often, so I wouldn't be surprised if another one showed up in a video sometime soon. But until then, I'll see y'all next time.